there, and welcome to Spoiler Piece Theater, the podcast that doesn't give a shit about spoilers. We just want to talk about the movies. My name is Megan Kearns. My pronouns are she, her. I write film reviews for Edge Media Network. I'm a co-host of the Slashers podcast, a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association, and I'm a member of Gallica, the Society of LGBTQ Entertainment Critics.
My name is Dave Riedel. I write for the Chicago Reader. My pronouns are he, him. And I'm also a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association.
And my name is Evan Crean. My pronouns are he, him. I'm co-chair of the Boston Online Film Critics Association and co-author of your 80s movie guide to better living.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, you are.
You're an author. You're the man, the myth, the legend, and a scholar. Gentleman and a scholar.
You
Wow,
both got
that's quite
salutes?
the-
Wait a minute. The fuck
How
is
do you know I
this?
wasn't saluting both of you?
How do I know? Gut feeling. Gut feeling.
I'm giving out salutes left and right.
Yeah.
And I salute you too, audience, listeners. We love you. So on this week's show, we have two movies, as we usually do. But before we get into that, I want to tell you about this week's bonus episode over on our Patreon. We talked about the monthly poll winner, which was, what was the poll? Oh, it was 90s films by Black filmmakers. And the poll winner was Deep Cover, Bill Duke's neo-noir crime film starring Lawrence Fishburne and Jeff Goldblum. And holy shit, did we have a great time talking about a fantastic movie, spoiler alert. It's great.
Yeah, we did.
Great conversation. A really fun time. I mean, we always have fun here and we always have fun on the Patreon, but that conversation was just spectacular. So if you're a patron, go check it out. And if you're not, consider joining, because for $5 a month, you get access to bonus episodes and you get to vote in monthly polls. So for this week's show, we have a rom-com and a horror film. We're going to be talking about the rom-com Players, and we're going to be talking about the horror film Lovely, Dark, and Deep. And I love that this week it's by two women filmmakers. You know I get excited when we're talking women-directed films, and both of these are, which is very exciting. So we're going to start off with Lovely, Dark, and Deep, a horror film that Dave and I both watched. And it is written and directed by Teresa Sutherland, who was also a staff writer on Midnight Mass. And she also wrote the really great horror film directed by Emma Tammy, The Wind, which is a horror Western.
That is a good movie.
It's such a good movie. I love that. Yes. So Lovely, Dark, and Deep stars Georgina Campbell, who you may know from Barbarian. And she's a really great actor, which we'll get into more of that as we dive into the film. But let me give you the synopsis of the film. Lovely, Dark, and Deep is a psychological horror that centers on Lennon, who seizes the opportunity to assume the coveted role of a backcountry ranger at a remote outpost. While adapting to her solitary existence in the wilderness, she becomes aware of a lurking, sinister presence. Driven by the need for answers, she embarks on a journey through the ominous terrain, seeking to unveil the long-standing mystery that has haunted her since childhood. Yeah, so that's from the press release, so that is true. Fleshing it out slightly, when she arrives at this national park, when she arrives for her ranger position, everyone knows who she is, but we don't know why exactly. But we kind of quickly learn that's because they all think that she's crazy, and she's very adamant that she's not. But we don't know why. We don't know what's happened. And then we also learn that she has a traumatic backstory, traumatic childhood, because her little sister went missing in the woods in a park. In this particular park. Yep. And in this particular park, there's also lots of people missing. And she listens to podcasts about the many missing people from this particular park. And so as she's going about her job of hiking and, listening on the radio in case there's an emergency, like a hiker lost or anything like that, she starts to notice some very, very weird things, and things kind of unravel for her. And there's a lot of weird time lapses and dream sequences and a whole host of things. So Dave, what did you think of this movie?
Well, let's see. Am I going to go the direct route or am I going to skate around it? Well, it's a horror movie. I mean, it wants to be a horror movie, but it is horrific. And I wish it were lovely or deep, but it is dark. So it has those things. I hated this. Hated it.
Oh.
Hated it. Hated it.
Did you hate it?
A little bit.
I love how animated you're getting about this. Like you almost jumped up out of your seat.
Well, this is one of those things that it's actually a little bit of effort to hate it because it's just so mundane, for one thing. But it really bugs me. And it has always bugged me and continues to bug me when movies think they have something to say and they don't have anything to say. So, first of all, let's just ignore the fact that no park ranger, no national government organization would hire someone as a park ranger whose sister had gone missing in that park. That is fucking insane. I know that you have to suspend disbelief in the movies, but that is stupid. It's stupid. And also she is crazy, but not, I don't think for the reasons people think she is. She's just suffering from trauma that has made her loopy, basically. That's an unkind word, but then just when you get into the whole, like the park, it tells her that when her boss, every time they go out into the wilderness, what does the boss say, Megan? She says, don't leave anything, don't take anything, and there's a third thing.
Don't kill anything.
And don't kill anything. Well, what did she leave her sister? Is that what is supposed to be? You know, like the ghosts or the demons or whatever are like, you left something.
She hears on a radio broadcast her boss and another ranger talking that her sister actually wasn't left, but she was taken.
Yeah. So
but I think taken by the sinister forces.
But she didn't. So that means she didn't leave anything, take anything, or kill anything. You know, if the sister was taken, she didn't leave her.
No. And
the whatever is going on in this forest is telling her, Evan, that she needs to leave them. The Lennon, Lennon, not Lenin, which I don't know if that's important, but it's important to me.
Okay, comrade.
And that's her last name, by the way, which her mother calls her in all the flashbacks. And it's like, okay, is this Reacher? I mean, like he explains that his mother calls him Reacher, you know, but why does your mother call you Lennon? I don't understand these
I have
things.
a friend whose mom calls him by his last name.
Yeah, I have a friend, same thing.
Yeah.
Everybody called him by his last name. Yeah.
But everyone calls him by his last name.
Right, that's what I mean. You know, my brother-in-law, everyone calls him by his last name. But
then you know.
Yeah. So anyway, I just don't think I understand what this was all about. Like, and not even as an exercise in, well, why do you make art? Well, why not? Or why do you climb a mountain? Because it's there. It's like, what the fuck is the point of this? Megan, I must have missed something. And I would love it if you told me what it is.
So I don't know if you did miss anything because I liked this a lot more than you did. I will say that. I don't think the movie is pointless. I do think it sort of has something to say. I just think it's very convoluted in what it's saying because I kept thinking I missed something. And so I went back and I rewatched the last like 30 or 40 minutes. I was like, I must have missed something. I must have missed something important. No, I didn't miss anything. So I do think it's very convoluted and very vague intentionally in some spots, other spots, not so much. I think the beginning of it is kind of interesting and intriguing.
I will give it that.
Yeah, because I really like horror films set in the woods. I mean, I just like horror wherever, but you know, the woods can be kind of, freaky. Like there's that great scene. I think it's a great scene where she's in a tent at night and something's outside of her tent being super like creepy. And that scene I really like. And I like how kind of ominous her walking in the woods is, and like when she sees a deer on the road, and that's creepy as fuck. Like I think it has a really good atmosphere, and I think that's what this film does really well is its atmosphere and how ominous it is. But then it starts to kind of fall apart in like the last third of the film. And I get that it's trying to dig into her trauma and into her memories and how clearly traumatized she is, but it doesn't really feel effective in how it's expressing or conveying that. So I feel really bad for Lennon, the protagonist, and I think Georgina Campbell does a really great job conveying her confusion
She's
and her
very good.
pain. And yeah, and I think she's the reason it comes together. But I do think that it's just kind of too oblique and vague and convoluted in how it's conveying this. And I get what it's going for. Like, I get that it's trying to make you feel like how she feels. Like, it's trying to make you feel like you're losing your mind the way she feels like she's losing her grasp on reality. And I get that. I just don't think it's fully effective.
Well, also because she's
and that makes
not
me
losing her
sad.
mind, as it turns out. All of these things, I think, are actually
Yeah.
happening. Because there are other people in the woods who go missing who think that it's happening to
Right.
them, too.
Right.
So they
It
can't
does.
all
Yep.
be
Yep.
suffering from the same delusion, because that's cuckoo. Unless it's a
Right.
Werner
Unless they
Herzog
are.
film, you know? So,
Right.
I wanted them to all think that they were cuckoo.
yeah.
No, but you're absolutely right. Like, this is happening. It's grounded in not reality, but it's grounded in reality in the sense of in this world, it is happening to some extent. So you're right. She's not losing her mind.
Yeah.
But it feels like she is, and she feels like it is. And so I think it does a good job at that. But yeah, I know I don't feel exactly the same way, like, what's the point? But I totally know what you mean when you say what's the point, because it's like, what's the takeaway here? And
Right.
I guess the takeaway is like trauma really fucks you up. I guess.
I mean,
But-
true, yes.
Yeah, but then I was kind of thrown by that ending when she finds the hiker and he's like, "Are you real?" And that's, throughout the film she's been asking people, "Are you real?" And other people who've been lost are asking her, "Are you real?" And everyone's always like, "Yes, yes, yes, yes." And she finally is like, No, I'm not. And she walks away. And it's like, wait a minute, is she saying that so then the guy will be taken by the force, or is she really not real? So I don't know.
Well, if she's not real, she certainly doesn't know she's not real. I mean, because she just walks off like, gonna go be a park ranger.
Like, la, la, la.
You know? I mean, not quite as, skipping her step as I
Right.
make it
but
out to be.
kind of.
Yeah.
So is she just leaving that guy to die for the forces in the forest to take him?
And she's already said she won't leave someone to the forest.
Right.
She's told them. And her boss has sacrificed herself. Her boss, who
Yes.
apparently knew everything that was going on and knew about her sister the whole time.
Exactly.
Because she brings her sister's shoe to the weird,
Yes.
like, otherworldly shack that looks like something out of like a David Lynch reject set. Like, imagine The Lodge, but The Lodge was shitty, you know? So,
Oh, I love the lodge.
I know, exactly.
The lodge is great.
Welcome to the shitty lodge.
Yeah. Oh, I'm being too hard on it. I didn't hate it. I'm kind of indifferent to it, but I am. No,
That's quite a 180.
no.
Yes.
But you know what it is? It irritates me that I spent, in this case, because I didn't watch the closing credits, 82 minutes being like, the fuck am I watching? You know? I would much rather have it be like Sinister, for example, where you've got, 2/3 of a really good horror movie, and then it's like, let me play my cards. And you're like, oh, now you just turn this movie to shit. I think I would rather know what exactly is going on than this weird, like, will they, won't they tap dance, It's like, fucking get a
Yeah.
room, movie. Figure it out.
You're like, I'm tired of these vagaries.
Yes, yes. I would rather have it spelled out or be even less or be even more opaque, Like, I would have it.
Yeah.
Like, I hated that fucking
I
movie
hear
where
what you're
we saw
saying.
last year or 2 years ago where they all got lost in the desert and then the heads were on pikes at the end and the guy cuts off his
Yes,
own
the
dick.
Outwaters. I love it.
Fucking hated
Fuck
that
that
movie. But you
movie.
know what? It's better than
movie's
this
great.
because at least it's like that movie commits,
That movie does commit. Yeah.
I mean, that movie
Ugh.
is like, so we're going to start at 99 and we're going to go to 100 in the first 3 minutes. And it will
Yeah, that
remain
movie
that
does.
way, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, I mean, I think I wish I could remember where I saw a review that said this, but I read a review that said, actually, I read a lot of reviews about this, and I read a lot of them praised this, and then there were other ones that said kind of similar things that we're saying, like, it starts off really strong, really great, and then kind of loses its way. I like a slow burn, and I know you do too, Dave.
Yep.
And slow burns are great, but there has to be some kind of payoff,
This
and
is-
there really
Right.
It's like
is
they pour
not
water
a
It
on
has
payoff.
to be
burn.
done well.
It's like you got the fuse going, and then they're blowing. They got the
Yeah.
tinder and the kindling,
Yeah.
and it's going up, and then fucking hurricane, lovely dark and deep comes through and dumps a bunch of fucking water on the
I thought you were
forest
going to say
fire.
someone.
And you're like, this
I thought you
is
were going
not
to say
that
someone
movie.
pissed on it.
This is not the Josh Brolin movie with the forest fires. We don't need the water. All right. I just redlined that whole thing. Sorry,
That was
everybody.
amazing. Yeah. I don't feel, as I said, I don't feel as vitriolic as you do about it, but your delivery and your commentary is fucking hilarious. I can't
Thank
help
you
it.
very
It's so
much.
good.
Aim to please
Yeah.
everyone but the filmmaker, apparently. So
I know. And I mean, I think that's the thing too, is that this is a very, very indie film, like very small budget.
it
very
does look
indie.
good. I will give it
But
that.
I was just going to say, yes, it looks exceptional, I think. And something I read in Megan Navarro at her Bloody Disgusting review said that the night scenes in particular were very crisp and looked really great. And that's 100% true, because so
Yeah.
often when you see night scenes now in film and TV, they look like shit. They look like
they're either too
barely
dark or they're
lit.
clearly shot during the day and then
Right,
corrected.
exactly.
You know?
Exactly. And this is clearly shot
Game
at
of
night, but it's
Thrones.
shot really, really well. So yeah, I think this looks great. I think this has a great ambiance. I like the score. Georgina Campbell's fantastic. It has, I know why you're so pissed, because it has everything going for it and it loses its way. And
Yeah.
that's frustrating to you. I know it. And yeah, I don't feel the same way. I think there's still enough good things here, but it is a little disheartening because I wish it could have ended with a bang. It could have really like stuck the landing, and it just doesn't. But I still enjoyed this. I still had a good time watching this. I'm a sucker for trauma. And so any horror film that's going to explore that and delve into it, I'm here for. So I really liked it. I just wish it had kind of a stronger through line all the way through and a stronger ending. But yeah, but no, I completely understand your frustrations with this film.
Thank you. And
You're welcome.
I understand, I think, why you appreciate it more than I did.
I think you do.
Yeah.
I have faith that you do. Do we have any final thoughts?
I don't.
All right. Let's shift gears and talk about our rom-com that we all saw, Players. And Players stars Gina Rodriguez and Damon Wayans Jr. and Tom Ellis. And it is directed by Trish C. or Cy. I never know how to pronounce her name. And unfortunately, and it's written by Whit Anderson. And let me give you the one sentence description from Netflix. A New York sports writer with a playbook of clever hookup schemes unexpectedly falls for a fling. So the New York sports writer is Gina Rodriguez, and she has a group of guy friends that they go out to bars and they each take turns picking who it is. And then they're like, okay, we pick that person. And then they have these elaborate plays, evocative of sports plays, that they run through, and they tag team in order to have that person be able to successfully hook up with said person that they've chosen in a bar or wherever they are. And yeah, Tom Ellis, Damon Wayans Jr. is her best friend, and Tom Ellis is a new guy at work because they all work together at the paper. And he's a writer, and he's a writer who was like a Pulitzer Prize finalist, and he's British. And I only mention that because they talk about that, about how he like sounds so suave, and he's a sharp dresser, and he's handsome. And she hooks up with him on the first night they meet, and then she realizes, oh shit, I really like him, and he's got this really impressive apartment, and he's really mature, and everyone else I date is really, childish, but he's an adult. And yeah, so then her and her guy friends try to scheme so she can turn this one night stand into an actual relationship. All right, Evan, we have not heard from you yet. What did you think of Players?
I liked Players, but I didn't love it. I think it has some flaws. I'll start with the positive. I like the premise. Like, I like the idea that you have these 3 friends. I mean, I guess technically 4 if you count the younger brother. that have all these long cons and complicated ways that they help each other get laid. I think that was actually a pretty fun premise going into this. And it's fun watching their dynamic. I think that they generally have good chemistry. The three kind of central friends, Mac, Adam, and Bran. Although I feel like Augustus Prue as Bran is definitely the weak link in that equation.
Wait, which one's he? Is he the brother or the
He's
little
the
brother
older
or the older one?
The obit
He's
writer.
the older brother. Yeah,
Oh, you think he's the weakest one?
I think so. I
Okay.
think even Joel Courtney, who plays the little brother, I think is better.
I do like that Bran is queer though. It's cool to see a queer dude.
Yes, yeah, they do kind of throw that in there. He decides to just change things up.
Yes,
and
as she
surprise.
says,
Like, oh,
as Max
you haven't
says.
done that in a while. You haven't gone
Yeah.
after a guy in a while. He's like, okay, I'm doing it. So that was fun. So I liked the premise for this. I don't think it quite works for a few reasons. I think they do a good job of establishing the friend chemistry between Gina Rodriguez and Damon Wayans Jr., but I don't think they do a good job of building the romantic chemistry. It feels very kind of tacked on at the end when the other friends are like, yeah, Adam, Damon Wayans Jr., he's been in love with you forever. Did you know? And she's like, no one told me. Like,
Why would
and then
she
it's like,
know?
yeah, and then it's like a hard pivot to then her, outside the Yankee Red Sox game that she's supposed to cover as part of her new gig, kind of confessing her love. To me, it just didn't work. Like, it didn't feel natural. It didn't feel like it came together. So I think that's kind of a big problem in a rom-com. Is when you feel like you have good friend chemistry, but they just didn't make the romantic chemistry work for me. And the relationship with Tom, I liked the heisty elements of it, the way that they kind of, string that out, and she's got to do all these kind of like short cons to have the long con of being able to date him. But I feel like it was, I don't know. It was too obvious to make him like a real asshole, and I feel like it would have been better if it was just like she just got together with him and it just didn't work because he's just not the right personality match. Like, he's like, oh, he's all these things, but she just realized that's just not who I am.
Yeah.
I'm not like a super serious eating what's the fish
Branzino.
that they order at the
Oh yeah.
Branzino. Like, I'm just not gonna eat Branzino. I like Damon Wayans. I don't like that I can see the eyes. I don't want a thing with a head on it. I wish it was more about that and less about Tom, that character, being a complete asshole who, like, doesn't pay her the time of day, doesn't respect her, rewrites her, story that she's trying to do. It just, I don't know. That part wasn't driving for me either.
That
So I feel
part
like those are
pissed
the
me
couple things.
off. I'm sorry. I got too excited.
When
That
he
part pissed
rewrote
me
her,
off.
or
Go for
that they did that to his
Yes.
character?
Both, because no writer would ever do that to another writer and think that that's okay. Like, they wouldn't. I don't care how shitty or good the writer is. They would not do that.
Probably not.
Right.
Yeah.
When someone
they would
asks for
know.
notes, you know what notes means.
Right.
It
You know
doesn't
that
mean
means
mean
notes.
rewrote.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And because if he wasn't a writer, then it would make way more sense. But he was. So anyway, sorry. I just got too excited.
No, that's fine. But yeah, I think those are some of the like flaws and the things that don't quite work for me in the movie. And I will say, randomly, I was just looking at my notes. I laughed absurdly when they went to, I forget whose apartment it was, and they just had giant googly eyes on the fridge. That to me was just a random thing in the background that just cracked me up.
You
don't
think that was
remember
a
that.
reference to the Branzino, or just the eyes? They just had googly eyes.
Maybe.
Oh, they just had googly eyes on their fridge. I think it was Bran and I don't know if him and his brother's apartment or whose apartment it was. They just had giant googly eyes on the fridge, and it's something really stupid that I noticed in the background that I found absurdly funny. And I really liked their coworker, Ashley,
She
who
was
was
great.
played by Lisa. I don't know if it's pronounced Koshy.
Yeah. She's a
she-
YouTuber. I've seen her on YouTube and TikTok. She's great.
She was great in this. She's
Yeah,
Yep.
best part of that friend group.
yeah.
I
love that
completely
they.
agree.
Mm-hmm. Love that they pulled her in and she got in on the cons, especially how much she committed to the drunk friend act that she had to put on,
That was
where she
great.
had to be a total mess, and she like really, really committed to it, and I thought that was great.
Hmm.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Dave, you're up. What did you think?
I like this less than Evan did. To which I say again, listeners, I do like movies. I really do.
We swear he does.
If we were reviewing
Yeah,
Hiding
just
Out with
listen
John
to
Cryer
Patreon.
again, I mean, couldn't shut me up. But I have a lot of the same problems with it that Evan does. I think the big problem, aside from the totally tacked on romance with Damon Wayans Jr. at the end, I don't even know if he and Gina Rodriguez have good friend chemistry. And I don't think that's necessarily his fault or hers. I think it is
Agreed.
because the friend group is so outrageous, the other three, that he has to play the straight man. And he can play a straight man just fine, but he's also a very silly comedian. And like, if you've ever seen Happy Endings, he's just outrageous in that fucking show. Even though he's like the most grounded one, he's outrageous, you know? And I think it's just a real mistake to have him be soft-spoken and earnest. I mean, it's a strange thing to say. He plays a similar part in that Netflix rom-com that I like. It's called Love Guaranteed, and it's Rachel Lee Cook is the lead, and he's the love interest in it. And it's not better or worse because it's a Netflix rom-com, whatever. But he's more palatable in that, playing a similar kind of buttoned up role. Maybe because he only has to deal with one other character, her.
Maybe.
The friend crew, I like the group. I liked Augustus Prew, I think, more than you did, Evan. But I think that I don't know if anybody could have played that part because it was so ridiculous. It was just nuts. How Liza Koshy and her characters, but her character had you could see her character making the choice to go crazy, whereas he was just crazy. That's just what he was like. Although I did like the fact that he didn't even know his own brother's name. That made me laugh.
Yeah. I liked when the younger brother was wearing the disguise and he's like, why are you disguised? They don't know what we look like. And then in the next scene, they're wearing the same exact disguise, like the long wig with the hat and the sunglasses. That to me was quite
funny. And then his brother's like, you're right. This does work. It's like, right?
It looks good. We look good, don't we?
I really like that a lot. And I also really dislike the choice to make Nick turn into an asshole because he has a few asshole-ish moments, but I can give away the difficult brunch stuff because it can be weird to be at brunch with someone you don't know when you have different eating habits and you're lactose intolerant and all that kind of shit, So I can say, you know what? It was awkward because it was awkward, whatever. But then to turn him into just to some kind of raging cocksucker who rewrites her story top to bottom and calls it mawkish. Yeah. Which is kind of the point of the story, which, okay, that makes sense that he didn't get it for his character. But it's just such an asshole move, kind of out of nowhere. I really didn't buy it. And I think, like you were saying, Megan, it would have worked a lot better if it had just been like, we just don't work, Because the whole
Evan said that, but yes.
Evan said that?
Totally
I'm sorry.
Agree. Yes, Evan said. No worries. I just didn't want to get credit for something I didn't say.
I also don't like the whole. I can't remember which other rom-com it is. It's probably everyone made in the late '90s, early 2000s that has the gimmick. And this one, the gimmick is I want to get a drawer in his, my own drawer, and it's like. Fuck.
That's a big deal, though. That's a big deal to get a drawer in a person you're seeing.
Who gets a drawer?
House.
You just end up putting your stuff everywhere. What are you talking about?
No, I've gotten drawers. I have gotten drawers.
I always just end up.
I've given them.
I just always end up with
Evan.
There's like women's clothing in my dresser. All right, whatever. So.
Well, that means they took a drawer.
Yes.
They took a drawer.
Drawers were given and received.
There's some perfume that I've never seen before in my medicine cabinet. That's fine. Whatever. Yeah. So I think this movie made a lot of wrong character choices. And I also think that I can't believe I'm going to say this. I think Gina Rodriguez's performance is a little uneven, but I think that's the writing. I don't think that's her, because it's got that. You remember that movie Hitch with Will Smith? Who's the woman who's the lead in that?
Oh God,
is it Eva Mendes?
All I can think of was Kevin James.
Eva Mendes.
It is.
Yes.
The character is a lot like that in the sense that, you know, I like Eva Mendes and she can be really good, but it's like, what is that character's just kind of a shitty.
They make her too unlikable, I think.
And so in this, Gina Rodriguez is like, she's got those moments where, you know, she's a really dynamic performer.
Yes, she is.
But the character is not dynamic in a realistic way. It's more like the screenplay demands that I be silly in this scene and that I be, you know, emotionally devastated in this scene. And but I'm at work in this scene. And it's like, just fucking make up your mind, God damn it. Like,
right. Yeah.
I mean, could either of you tell me anything about her personality other than that she's a sports writer? And
her parents are dead.
She does plays and her parents are dead.
Yeah.
Could you tell me anything about her?
She's 32 because she says that at one point.
No, not really.
Right.
Other than she's just not into the same things that Nick is. Although what I think is weird about it is they kind of drum up the fact that it's like, oh, she's been pretending to be someone else, but we don't really see her pretending to be someone else that much.
No.
They hinge so much on this brunch. It's like they put so much weight for the characters. There's so much pressure on this brunch, but it's like the rest of the time, it's like she seems like she's basically being herself, and Nick is liking who she is.
Totally.
So like, what? It doesn't all add up.
No, except for the Branzino, her saying she likes it and she really doesn't. Other than that, no. She has zero personality. And I don't mean like Gina Rodriguez doesn't, because you're right. Gina Rodriguez is very dynamic and she is emoting quite well and a lot. But this character has nothing. And I would argue none of the characters have anything. Sorry. I'm jumping in again because I'm too excited.
No.
Sorry, Dave, please keep going.
No, I mean, I don't really, it's just too bad because you got a lot of good performers in this. You got great location work.
Yes.
I mean, this movie shot outdoors in New York City. Like, what medium budget movie even does that anymore? You know?
Totally.
Like, they're sitting outside Yankee Stadium. They're sitting, I don't know which park they're sitting in. They say they're sitting in a park in Dumbo. I don't know if that's true. Although they are near a bridge, so it could be.
Yep.
And they're all those exteriors are, you know, Brooklyn or Greenwich Village portraying Brooklyn, or the Upper West Side portraying Brooklyn. You know, it's all true. And that stuff was all good, but I don't. Yeah, I think, you know, just tonally too fucking all over the place and mawkish. In some places, like every time that she has to talk about, you know, her mom's illness, it's like, oh, now we feel sympathy for Mac. And also, stop giving characters cute names like Mac just because it's cute. Give her a name that actually is like a name. I mean, Mackenzie's fine. I'm not talking about the name Mackenzie. It's kind of like when what's the Zach Braff movie? Garden State. Her name is Sam, and it's like,
say that.
It's like, you know, Sam's the cute name. Stop it. Give her like, her name's Eleanor. Like, make it a fucking old woman's name, and then she's cool. You know, she's cool despite the fact that she's named after Eleanor Roosevelt. You know,
I think Mac is okay in Veronica Mars. I love.
Well,
that
of course, but Mac is cool in
like
Veronica
the computer
Mars.
whiz.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm here for androgynous names, so I dug it.
It's not. It's just, you know, it's the cute factor for me.
I know you do. I know what you're saying. It's tapping into the Manic Pixie Dream Girl nonsense, arguably. Well, because you mentioned Garden State,
and I also would like to add,
although it's also a thing of horror films too, is that they often have final girls who have androgynous names. But I digress. Dave, please continue.
If you're going to go to the trouble to hire Ego Woodham and Maren Hinkle, let them be funny. You know, let Maren Hinkle be funny, because she's really funny. She has that one moment when Gina Rodriguez mentions the book that I can't remember the name of right now, and Maren Hinkle just turns and goes, eh. And it's funny. It's a syllable, and it's funny. Anyway, I'm done. I think you know how I feel.
He's like, and I'm spent.
Yeah, exactly.
Mic drop. Well, I feel like you do, Dave, and possibly even worse about this movie. This movie, how you felt about Lovely, Dark, and Deep, and it like pissed you off in many ways because you were frustrated. That's how I felt about this movie.
This movie was
This
frustrating.
movie enraged me because
Whoa.
how do you have such a great cast? And I love Gina Rodriguez and I really like Damon Wayans Jr. And yet you squander them. You squander their talents. The writing is abysmal. It's fucking abysmal. And rom-coms hinge on either really fantastic chemistry between the leads and or exceptional writing. And which I think is interesting because, rom-com as a genre gets a lot of shit because they're like, oh, they're fluffy and blah, blah, blah. No, a lot of times they have really good writing. This does not. And the fact that the characters don't really have any traits other than weird quirks. And the fact that, like you both were saying, it is a tacked on romance. And first of all, why do we always, I know it's a rom-com, but why do we always have to make men and women get into a relationship? Like, can't they just be friends? Like, it drives me up a wall. And but if you're going to have them be in a relationship, because it is a rom-com after all, they have to have chemistry. They have to have a spark, and they don't. And the relationship between them, like romantically, not the friendship, but the romantic part feels so shoehorned in, like such an afterthought. It's just so frustrating, and it really pissed me off. I will say, though, to this film's credit, and there are good moments, like you both have said, there are good moments, there are good scenes, there are good things. I did really like the ending, like even though it pissed me off and I'm like, where the fuck does this come from? When Gina Rodriguez, she's so good, she sells it. When she gives that heartfelt speech at the end where she's telling him about all the things she loves about him, I totally bought it because she really sells it. And the dialogue was not shit there. The dialogue was fine there. I wish that was probably the best dialogue in the film for me. So I wish the rest of the film had that kind of good writing, because I really liked that. And I was like, yeah, that all makes sense as to why she would want to be with him and want to be with somebody like that, because those are all wonderful traits. But I also want to point out, just because somebody has wonderful traits doesn't mean they're right or wonderful for you, but that's a whole side conversation. But yeah, this just really frustrated me because I was so excited for kind of like a fluffy, feel-good rom-com. And it's not, my irritation and anger does not mean it's shit. I don't think this is like a dog shit movie by any means. I think it's not. I think it's fine. I think it's serviceable. It's fine. And I don't really rank things. I never rank things. I never say like, oh, this is my star rating. But if I had to, it'd probably be like 2 stars. Like, it's fine. But I just wanted so much more. Good question. I don't know.
2 out of 4, 2.5 out of 5.
Maybe 5. Exactly. There you go. Exactly. Thank you, Dave.
Okay.
And thank you, Evan, for the precision. I love it. Yeah, it's just, it could have been so much better. And maybe that's the frustrating thing is the possibility and the potential is just, that's what really is pissing me off about it. But also, like both of you, yeah, why did we have to make Nick be an asshole? Like, why couldn't we have just been like, oh, wow, because not Nick. No, it is Nick. Nick is Tom Ellis. Yes. Like, why couldn't it? Because Damon Wayans Jr. points out, like, oh, you just like him because he has a nice apartment and he's, you think he's mature. Why couldn't it have just been that she was kind of blinded by that and then come to find out, like, oh, we have nothing in common and he's not, I'm not really into him. Like,
or he's kind of boring,
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Like, why couldn't it have just been that? Like, why did it have to be this whole ruse of him being an absolute dickbag writer that I'm telling you no writer would do? I maintain no writer would do that. Listeners, if you know a writer who has done this, let me know, because I want to know who this person is and stay away far from them. Because no writer would ever do that, because that's just vicious.
Why can't it be as simple as a deal breaker for me? Confusing Star Wars and Star Trek.
Exactly.
That could have been it. Or because she likes sports, why couldn't it have been like he confused teams or something, like something ridiculous like that? Also, I just want to point out, listen, it's great to see a woman in a film like sports, because it is so ridiculous to think that women don't like sports. But kind of like how you felt, Dave, about her like cutesy nickname Mac, that's how I felt about her liking sports. It's very, very much giving me and this is a rom-com I love, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, where like Andy like loves sports and she's a cool chick and she has an androgynous name too. And it's like, because she likes sports, she's so cool. And it's like, no, they're like, she's not cool because she likes sports. She just likes sports. And there's nothing wrong with that. But why is that the cool thing? Anyway, I digress. But this movie has a lot of problems. But I will say, to its credit, the ending, I think, kind of comes together, even though it is shoehorned in. But yeah, there's a lot of things that just really frustrated me. And I also was really bored throughout a lot of it.
Yeah.
I don't want to be bored in a rom-com. Ugh.
No.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm a broken record when it comes to the rom-coms. And I should make a I should make a distinction, because somebody brought this up to me, that you say the best rom-com of all time is When Harry Met Sally. Well, the best rom-com since they became what we know them as is When Harry Met Sally, for sure.
Oh, interesting.
But if you're talking about like old-timey rom-coms, I mean, I might have to go with
His Girl Friday?
His Girl Friday, for sure, you know? Or maybe Philadelphia Story.
Oh, that's a good one.
You
I
know?
still would say When Harry Met Sally, but yeah, no, those are great
Yeah.
too. I mean, It Happened One Night.
It
That's
happened
great
one night.
too.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, they're also different,
yeah,
though.
there's so many great ones.
Yeah, that's why I make the distinction, though. So
That's fair. That's a good distinction.
But I mean, that is a movie that hinges on characters. And I think it helps.
Yes.
Here's the thing
Yes.
about this movie. It's like, you know, for a long time, rom-coms had like the Catherine Hahn best friend character before she became a leading performer in
Oh,
her own.
I love her.
I love her
so
too.
much.
And it's, you know, you
So
got
great.
or the Judy Greer character is
Judy
probably more
Greer,
appropriate.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
You got
both of
Judy
them. No,
Greer.
you're right
Wacky
about
best
both of them.
friend. Or Joan Cusack if
Yes.
it were a little earlier,
yes,
you know?
yes.
And I feel like we've gone away from that, because that's hard enough, because you're taking away screen time from the two leads. But in this case, you've added 4 side characters. That's a lot of work, you know?
You know, there is a film that does it well,
Mhm.
and you both may argue with me, or one of you, I feel like one of you is going to argue, and I think I know who it is. 4 Weddings and a Funeral. There's lots of sidekick friends.
And they all have defined personalities.
Yes.
And they all have their own
Yes.
story arcs that feel
Yes.
organic.
And yet they all come together.
all
And
come
that feels
together.
organic too.
And it's
Yep.
the last time Richard Curtis wrote a good movie from start to finish.
See, I thought you were going to not like that, Dave. I thought, but I'm
love,
glad you do.
I mean, any
I love
movie
it
that opens
too.
up with like the first 25 words are fuck, I mean, I'm in. I
That's such a great
never
scene.
seen it.
actually never watched the other 102 minutes. I've just seen those 3.
Just seen the fuck
Yeah.
scene with I love that. Where him and his sister, like everything's fuck.
Exactly.
So great. Yeah, but you're absolutely right. So that's the thing. And even quote unquote bad rom-coms, which I love, and I know you do too, Dave.
Yeah.
And Evan, you probably love some bad rom-coms too. But
Oh,
even,
yeah.
even the ones that are deemed bad, which I would argue they're actually not under the, metric of the rom-com genre. You're right. They hinge on the chemistry. They hinge on the characters. They hinge on good, snappy dialogue, something. But this just has no anchor. And it has a good cast. It has a lot of talented cast members, but yet they don't really have anything to do other than to be like quirky or weird or whatever. And it
Mhm.
just, it doesn't coalesce,
Yeah.
sadly. I feel like we all look so defeated.
We, wanted it to be good. It just didn't happen.
I got a
Yeah.
rom-com that's good that only has like 2 leads and then some side characters, but there are no friend sidekicks or anything. And I know that neither of you seen it, and I've talked about it before, The Hating Game with what's-her-face.
Oh,
Lucy Hale.
yes. Yes.
And that is a character-driven rom-com. Hard R, I'm happy to say. Because I think you also need your
interesting.
rom-coms to probably be hard R, which this one is, by the way.
This
Um,
one is to its credit. To
yeah.
its credit.
It doesn't, say like
Yeah.
screw when,
It's funny too thinking about that. I'm actually really glad you brought that up because it reminded me of something I wanted to say, that there's something really gross to me about kind of the premise about the, all these plays to kind of, lure people and ensnare them. But at the same time, it is really refreshing to have female characters who are so comfortable with sex, and particularly, I hate the term casual sex, but for lack of a better term, They are. And I love that Mac is just like, yeah, she wants to have some sex. She wants some good sex. And there's nothing wrong with that. And she's not shamed for it. And I
Nothing
love
wrong
that.
with good sex. What's wrong with good sex?
No,
Jesus
but like,
Christ.
no, I know,
what
but I
you
love
mean.
that
Right.
about the film. Yeah, I love that. And I will say, I think because I'm like in a lesser film, but I know I've really trashed this film. In a lesser disappointing film, maybe that would have happened. But I do love that
Right.
that doesn't happen here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
the
feel like
movie is
maybe I've
not,
been
like,
too hard on
slut
this film.
shamey.
Yes, there's no slut shaming. And maybe I've been too hard in this film. I don't think I have, though. This movie really it
No,
frustrated me.
you've been tough but fair.
Thanks, Evan. I wasn't so sure. I appreciate the validation. I needed that. Though, I think this could have been better. I think it had some.
Mhm.
It has a base, but
This
yeah,
has
anyway.
a lot of like
Some
stuff that
tweaks.
should
Yes,
work.
tweaks.
You know?
Yes. Agreed. All right. Do we have any final thoughts?
Oh, I was going to say that Damon
Oh, yes,
Wayans
please.
Jr. in their argument at the gala or whatever it is, he is good in that when he finally gets to
Yes,
he
I
rewrote you.
agree.
He's good in that scene.
He's really good in that scene. I agree.
Yeah.
He was a little mean, I thought, his character.
Oh, you think
Like-
so?
In that
I
moment.
thought he was a little bit too hard on her. I thought, as a friend, I'm like, I feel like you don't need to be so hard and so insulting.
Well, maybe that's because he loves her, so that's
That's
his love
Yeah,
oozing
he's just
out.
lashing out. Yeah.
No, but I mean, that's a good. I think that's a good reason to be pissed off. Like, what are you doing? This douchebag, is erasing who you are, like identity wise. I get it, but I get what you're saying too, Evan. That maybe he was too harsh, but I really liked him in it. I don't know. Ugh.
I know, so
I wish this had been
disappointing.
better.
It's just
I
one of those things.
know.
It's like, I'm not angry. I'm disappointed.
I know. I said I
I'm
was
not mad.
angry.
I'm disappointed.
Yeah, I was angry, but now I'm really not. I'm just disappointed.
Yeah. I'm just like, we went
I
over
think-
those
yeah.
flashcards for weeks and you got a B minus. Jesus. I'm not angry. I'm disappointed.
It's like, well, I guess I should practice that now, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
I'm not mad. I'm disappointed.
Yeah, you're going to have to. I don't know when it's going to happen, but it'll happen eventually, I guess. Hasn't happened to
Yeah.
me, thankfully. So,
Oh, that's good. Yeah, but I agree. I don't know which one of you said it. Maybe you both did, but I agree with one of you or both of you that it is tonally uneven. And
I said that for sure.
Yeah, but
okay,
Dave.
there you
Yeah.
go.
Mhm.
Thank you, Dave. And it needs sharper writing. But yeah. Oh, but it
Yeah.
looks good. I will say that. Looks good. Great locations, great cast.
Yeah, I also want to make
Ay,
the
ay, ay.
distinction, which I think, which you are, but I want to say it out loud: the difference between a good story and good writing. Because this
Yes.
has a decent story
you.
setup, but it's
Yes.
written in
Right.
such a shit way that it's like,
right.
I mean, and I think it's kind of how I feel about Michael Crichton. He's got a lot of good story ideas, but his writing is fucking the turds,
That's how I feel about Stephen King. I think he's got a
Ah.
lot of great ideas, but for me, his writing doesn't always work.
I haven't
But
read one of his
sometimes
books in,
Prose
like-
can be irksome.
Yeah, I haven't read
Thank
one of his
you.
books in like 25 years, so I don't even know.
That's why I
Mhm.
like his short stories, because I think his short stories work because they're contained. But
Gets-
yeah, I agree
yeah.
with you. Yeah. But no, you're right. Yeah, I think it's something that people sometimes get wrong when they talk about writing. They automatically assume you're talking about the premise or the dialogue. But it's also what you're writing about the characters and what their traits are, and it's so
Mhm.
much more. And it also can be writing about the setting and whatnot. So yes, you are totally right. This has a great premise, but yeah, it's the rest of the writing that needs work.
Right. Yeah, I think, getting back to the point about it being uneven, I think it spends too much time in the like build up and like montage of the relationship with Tom, so that at a certain point
Yes.
the rest just feels tacked on and rushed. It's like I feel like they should have gotten to the point faster with that.
Agreed.
Like you could still do the heist stuff, but make it snappier. Like get to the
Mhm.
point where she's dating him faster, so that there's more time to develop the relationship with Adam, so it doesn't feel like it's so rushed at the end.
Right. Or they could have like woven in some scenes between the two of them. that
Right.
Kind of like will
Where
there, won't
she's-
they scenes. Yeah.
Yeah, like where like they're like texting or having fun while their significant others are just kind of like, oh God, these two again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
right. Well, there's like one scene where we see them texting, and it's after that goddamn brunch. Where you're right, Evan. Everything hinges on that stupid
Too much.
brunch.
Too
Yeah.
much weight on that Branzino.
And I also just want to say, I'm going to throw this out there too. If you are taking a date to the Kronos Quartet at the Guggenheim, that's more serious than just like, oh, she had to leave because she's a doctor and she got called into the ER. Let me start, as beautiful as she is, let me start boning Gina Rodriguez just because she's here.
Yeah.
You were obviously a lot more invested in that relationship than you let on, because I've been to the Guggenheim and I've seen the Kronos Quartet, and they're both serious things. So,
Ooh, Dave, you fancy.
I am fancy.
Yeah, that was, yeah. That also the thought of like, wait a minute, just because Gina Rodriguez is showing up, he's all of a sudden gonna not date that woman anymore? I'm
giving it,
I don't know.
This is my one benefit of the doubt. It's like they already have like a sexual history. They know that they're
That's
compatible
fair.
that way.
That's true.
She shows
No,
up
you're
looking
right.
like a fucking dream. So maybe that's it.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah. I will say about Gina Rodriguez, because I realize I thought I already said it, but I didn't, because I've said this maybe in other episodes. I've also said it off mic so many times. I adore Gina Rodriguez. I love her. I think she's so great as a performer, and I love, 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 love her in Jane the Virgin. I cannot say enough good things about that series, which I adore so much.
Yeah, she's great.
So charming.
And I think it's
she's so great.
Really great that everybody got to know her on Jane the Virgin, where she's like a very specific kind of character, and she's done very different things since then. So
Yes.
And she's good
very
in all
intentionally
of them.
different things. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, I love her so much. I know. I want to see her do more horror like Annihilation, because she's so great in that. But anyway.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. I just love Annihilation too. So, but yes, I love Gina Rodriguez. She's so great. But clearly she does the rom-com genre well, because that's what Jane the Virgin is. It's a telenovela rom-com. Like, and she excels at that. So, as she does in most things.
Yeah.
But okay, any final thoughts?
Nah.
Nope.
All right. So let's do a recap. I was like, what did we talk about first? Lovely Dark and Deep is on VOD today. Dave, would you recommend
You couldn't
it?
remember the title, and I think that says it all.
You know what? I'm going to blow your mind. I actually would recommend it.
Cling.
Caveats and all, warts and all, I would recommend it, just because Georgina Campbell is such a great actor and there's such great ambiance. Even though it doesn't all come together at the end, I think it is worth watching, but maybe go in with low expectations.
Okay, if you must.
I knew I was going to blow your mind. I love it.
Mind blown.
Bye-bye.
If I weren't wearing these headphones, you'd see the fucking smoke pouring out of my head.
I love it. Very like Wile E. Coyote.
Mhm.
Wait, he had smoke coming out of his head, right?
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you. I was like,
Daffy
it's been a very
Duck
long
did
time
too.
since
I mean, they all did. At some
Okay,
point.
it's been a long time since I've watched my Looney Tunes. Okay, Players is on Netflix now. Would you guys recommend it?
I would not.
All right, Dave, you're up. Would you recommend it?
You know, I kind of want to say, if you can just watch the scenes with Liza Koshy, maybe you should.
Who's so great.
Her character is a delight. Her character
That's
has
true.
personality. She's not defined
Yes.
very well, but I think that the performance is strong enough that she feels like a person, you know?
Yes, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Yeah.
So for that, if you can watch the 17 minutes she's in it, sure.
Yeah, it's funny. My initial reaction was going to be no, I don't recommend it. But actually, I might recommend it, just kind of in the same way, Dave, you're saying, like, watch her scenes and maybe watch the last 10 minutes of the movie and the rest of the movie, maybe, like, you know, I don't know, do some laundry or something, or cook dinner while it's on. So you're kind of like half in, half out. But yeah, but it's a very tepid recommendation.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we want to give a huge thank you to our sponsor, Peace Patron, Heather Sachs. Heather, thank you so much.
Thanks, Heather.
Thanks, Heather.
We also want to give a huge, huge thank you to our editor, Otto Clamor, who is so great. We love you, Otto. Thanks for making us sound great.
Thank you, Otto.
Thanks, Otto.
You can find Spoiler Piece Theater everywhere you listen to podcasts. You can also find us at our website, spoilerpiece.com. You can find us on Spoiler Piece. You can find us on social media. We're at Spoiler Piece on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, Threads,
Don't think we're on
TikTok.
Blue Sky yet? I don't know.
I don't think we are
No.
yet.
Okay.
But we're getting there. We will be there. So go check us out on all the social media platforms. Follow us. Oh, on Facebook too. I almost forgot Facebook. Say hello. Say hi. If you want to say hi, you can also email us, spoilerpiece@gmail.com, or you can give us a call.
At 862-21-PEACE.
Leave us a voicemail message, text us, let us know. Are we being way too hard on players? Did you love it? Did you like it? And same with Lovely, Dark, and Deep. Are we being too hard on it? Or, did you also find yourself, frustrated by either film? We want to know. We love hearing from you. And we have had listeners who let us know, like, yeah, no, I think you're wrong. And I love this movie. Or no, I totally saw what you were saying. So we like that. We like discourse. So let us know. And if you like the show, please consider rating and reviewing. That really helps us out. You can go to ratethispodcast.com/spoilerpiece. It will take you to your preferred platform of choice, or you can go directly to Apple Podcasts. That one really helps out, as well as Spotify. And if you really, really, really like the show, consider becoming a patron. If you are a patron already, thank you so much. And if you're not, consider joining, because for $5 a month, you get access to over 300 bonus episodes, as well as bonus episodes we put out each week. You also get to vote in monthly polls. And this week's bonus episode, like I said at the beginning of the show, was our poll winner on 90s Black filmmaker directed films. And the winner was Deep Cover, which we had such a good time talking about. And if you don't believe us that Dave actually likes movies, you should hear that conversation, because he gushes over Deep Cover.
Spoiler, yeah.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, he gushes over it. But it's a great time. So, and if you are a patron, go check it out, please. And yeah. And also, if you go to spoilerpiece.com, you can also check out our merch. So that's another way you can support the show. If you want, you can order. That will take you to our TeePublic store, and you can get t-shirts, sweatshirts, tote bags, pillows, mugs, notebooks, all kinds of goodies. Go check it out. See what we got there. But yeah. Thanks so much. My name is Megan Kearns. I write for Edge Media Network. I'm also a co-host of the Slashers podcast. I'm a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association, and I'm a member of Gallica. You can follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Opinion S World, or on Instagram and Letterboxd at The Opinion S.
Dave Riedel, write for the Chicago Reader, member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association. If you want to follow me on social media, I'm Dave Sees Movies on all of them. So just whatever one you're on, put that in as one word, and you will find my dumb face.
Ouch.
My name is Evan Crean. I'm co-chair of the Boston Online Film Critics Association and co-author of your 80s Movie Guide to Better Living. You can follow me on social media as Real Recon, and that's real as in film reel.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.